Alright, hello world. Welcome to a project. So in this project, we're going to build a GitHub profile where we will see some GitHub activity going on with this given user. So let's go and take a look of how would that work out. So this, as you can see, this is the main interface. GitHub icon, GitHub username. So I can put my personal GitHub username here. Click on submit. Now you can see, because it takes some time to load. Now you can see I got my username, my profile picture, my blog, my address. So blog is actually linked to my blog, and this address linked to a Google Map. And then this is all my repo with some icons, and this is generated by a chart.js, a chart that shows what language you use, and then your contribution calendar as well, and then some recent activity going on. So if you think I'm just hard code this, well, I'm not. In fact, if I just try to type someone else, as long as the user does exist, it will be working. So I can type octocat, and then now you can see you got octocat's profile there, got blog, their address, and then their repository, and then their language. And then the hardest part is actually about this graph, because the color that you see there beside other is how the GitHub, what the language for the GitHub color is. So that's probably the hard part. I know you probably don't understand what I'm saying, but the color does correspond to the language logo based on GitHub. And then contribution calendar as well. I didn't make that contribution calendar. Oh, I think I hard coded this contribution calendar actually. Yeah, and to fix that part. But that's about it. So this is what we'll try to build, try to mimic. And as you can see, I already have a working version kinda there. So let's just go ahead and get started. Okay, so let me go ahead and open up this Visual Studio Code. So what we learn to try to build is a platform like that, and then, well, that's about it. And then we will later deploy this to GitHub page with Netlify. Alright, so again, we'll just need three simple files: index.html, styles.css, and then app.js. So this is the three thing we need. Alright, so in index.html, we'll just start with a standard boilerplate. Excuse me. Alright, so now in the title, what we could say is you can say GitHub profile. And then, so we're gonna create our HTML first. Also, by the way, if in any time you're seeing, like when I cut some video part out, that's most likely because I don't have I used more than I could during this hour for GitHub API requests. So I can only use maximum 60 requests per an hour, I guess. But for this project, we need like 4 requests per person. That's going to be a little bit so. And then when we do testing, but I don't think we will use all the requests. Alright, so now let's go ahead and add some head tag. Report, good. And then I'm just going to copy the style sheet from Bootstrap. So recently, Bootstrap released their 5.0 version. I use this because I think it's cool to use 5.0 version. And then it's in the alpha mode. So yeah, and then we're also going to use this chart.js file. And then as well, no, that's all the 2 extra dependency we need. And then, yeah. So that's the dependency we need. And now let's go and get started with our, so now, oh yeah, we also need to link our custom JS file. And then probably as well as our custom style sheet. Alright, so, whoops. Alright, so now what we could do is, let's go start. So some convention here, maybe it's not the best practice, but use it because it works. So feel free to comment below and let me know if it's not good practice or not. I'm still learning, just like everybody else. Alright, so first I give a body ID, not really like you're supposed to do that, but I just give an ID content, most likely because I need to use it in my JavaScript processing. And then let's go and start by creating a simple HTML form. I'm going to have ID form. And then we're going to get rid of action there. And then in here, what I could say is div class. See what class I use. Alright, I don't know if that's MB2, but so I use MB2. Text center, so this is to bootstrap class. And then style is margin top is 200 pixel. It's probably bad to hard code this 200 pixel, but because it's not mobile responsive, we will try to make it mobile responsive as much as possible. And then we'll go ahead and get this SVG. So let's paste it here. Here's my SVG. So this is my SVG file. If you don't know SVG, this is basically an image, but using a special like definition with using SVG rule, and then this image is what you see at the home page, which is our GitHub form. So the GitHub logo. This basically gives out the GitHub logo, and we're going to add 2 line breaks there. And then here we could say input type is text. Oops. ID is username. We don't need this. ID is username. Placeholder is GitHub username. Let's say GitHub username. And we're going to add another bootstrap class. It's called form control LG, so this is going to make it larger than the normal field. And then we're just going to add a button. Button equals type is button, ID is button, onClick. We'll use the onClick attribute, and then actually no, we're not going to worry about onClick just yet. And then here in the button, we'll say is let's say submit. Alright, so let's take a look. What will this HTML file look like? Let me go open up in my browser. Alright, so it looks like this. I want the submit button to go down, probably because I forgot BR. So let's just add some line breaks there. So here let's add 1 line break should work. Alright, so now if you take a look, refresh. Yep, well, I mean, I'll show you 2 line break. Yep, I'm just going to add another line break there. And it should work. Alright, looks good. So now what we can do is, you can see this logo here, 200, what is this, 200, is 200, yeah, alright, so 100 actually. Okay, so now let's go ahead and move on. So now we'll go ahead and create, by the way, this video is probably going to be really long because I'm trying to do this project in one sitting. At least that's what I planned. We'll see. Alright, so now let's go ahead and create some styles. How about that? So now we're going to create some custom styles. First thing first is there's new universal selector. We'll say font family. Let's say this. Alright, so you're probably like, what just happened? This is basically like the rank. So we want to start by checking, we want to check each font by one. Do we have any of these font? If not, we will go and move to next stage. So I'm not sure what that -apple -system means, but at least I can tell you that it's probably going to start with the blank Mac system font. Then it's going to go to UI, I believe that's how I pronounce that word. Roboto, Oxygen, Ubuntu, Catarail, OpenSense. Oh, why is the font so hard to pronounce? And then lastly, we'll transcend serif because, well, we want to make it a little bit more attractive. Actually, that's all we need for now. Okay, so now let's go ahead and talk about the interesting stuff, the JavaScript file. So what will be here is we will go ahead and say we'll go ahead and actually create everything into a big function. The reason we're going to create everything to a big function because then we can add an onClick attribute to this function here. So essentially we can create a function, and then in here we can set onClick attribute onClick here. So display info. Alright, now we're going to talk about, so we're going to use fetch API, of course, because why not? Why using Ajax if you have fetch? Let's see. Alright, so first let's go ahead and get the username. So we'll say document.getElement by ID. We'll say username dot value, and then we're actually going to create a const username. We haven't used that yet. Let me just double check. We give ID for username. Yep, we did. All right, cool. Next is going to be a little bit quote unquote ridiculous because I'm going to give you like a lot of. Okay, let me just paste it here and then you will know. So, yep, there we go. This is, you'll say, oh my god, what the heck is this? But if you take a look deeper, what you will see is you will find a programming language and their corresponding color in hex. So this is what make the graph. So like the language actually is a GitHub language. So if you ever pay attention to your top of the GitHub repository, most likely you will see some language there with some color, like JavaScript is yellow, Python is blue, CSS is purple, HTML is orange, and then this here is their hex code. And then we'll later transfer the hex code, and then so we'll later transfer the hex code to some to RGB value, which I believe the chart JS actually can be able to understand. And then you can see we have other. So this is like other. Obviously, it's not a real programming language, but it just means if the GitHub API returns no, which means it doesn't detect a detectable language, we'll just using this ABCDEF, which is light purple-ish color, I think. All right, so let's see. You know what? Probably not gonna do everything in one setting. It just probably is too much. And then next is we'll create a function. This is a arrow function. So we'll recall that if you watch my video advanced array method, this is probably going to be a little bit familiar, at least the arrow function, and we actually apply this to an array. So we'll apply this function to an array, and then we'll say return self.index of, and then here we'll say value equals triple equals to index. All right, so we'll talk about what will happen. What will happen in there? So this is just arrow function, and then what this will basically do for us is this will get the unique elements from an array. So since I don't think we have built-in set in JavaScript, at least no one told me that has set in JavaScript. So set in Python, if you don't know, is just like don't allow duplicated elements. But we're gonna use unique as a function to check to get only like the unique elements out of it. And then this actually grabbed this from Stack Overflow. And then this function, which I also grabbed from Stack Overflow, is basically going to change hex to RGB value. And then it's going to return like a tuple, quote unquote, if you know Python, of course. So we can use like .r to get R value red, .g for green, .b for blue. This will basically able to get the hex code from the color. So this is what we'll use to change hex to RGB. All right, I will actually leave a comment to their respective Stack Overflow post. So you guys can take a look at that. All right, so now we set up our basic web application. Now let's go ahead and make our first fetch request. So, and then we probably can end the video there because it's already going like 20 minutes. I want to keep video short actually. So, what's happening here? So let me go ahead and talk about fetch real quick. Fetch is a new way to actually interact with especially APIs. So in order to get users information, we need their GitHub API. We need not their GitHub API, we need to use GitHub API to get a user's information. So fetch basically enables us to do that. For example, I want to have access to here. So let's say this is where you can get the user's information. And then I will actually change this to the backtick. I think that would simply mean in US keyboard it's above tab. This is basically the, let's see what's wrong with this. Yeah, okay. So this is basically like F-string Python, where it's called templating literal. So you can embed variable or some simple execution, simple JavaScript code inside of string. And then we use a $ and curly braces to indicate, okay, now we'll execute some JavaScript code there. So basically get the username as a variable. Username, recall, is we define as a constant right at the top. I'm gonna hide the color. Right at the top here. Whoops. Yeah, change to lowercase. So let's go change it to lowercase. And then fetch going to return us a promise. So then what we can use is we can actually use a promise. So then we can say dot then. So what this said is if it, like, I think it said if it's successful. I'm not really sure about promise part, but this it will execute once it get the so it's sort of like a callback function, and then we'll use arrow function, and then what happening here is response is a response object. I will link the fetch documentation to the description below if you want to take a look at how fetch works. So this will happen is this will change the response object to a JSON object, so we can actually interact with it. And then we can say dot then, another dot then, because usually like separate into two parts. First change to JSON, then we can actually use the data that we generated. Another arrow function here, and then we can just try to console.log the data, see if we get it correctly. So let's go ahead and try it out. Let's go ahead and try it out. So let me go to the browser, and then we'll see, can we see some API in the console. Alright, so now I'm going to type username, my username here, submit, and then let's see, do we get anything in the console or not. Alright, got an object, and now indeed this is the result returned to us as a object, which is JSON, because that will literally, JSON stand for JavaScript object notation. And then you can see this is all my information there. And then solar system. And then what we can do now is we can process the data with it, and then eventually add this to, and then display a new page. So we'll go ahead hide the form, and then start to process with the information we got. Alright, so I think that will be it for this tutorial actually, because it's already going to 20 minutes. I want to keep each video short. And thanks for watching this video. If you would like to, please like and subscribe to this YouTube channel. That really helps a lot. I really see a significant gain during this COVID period. But please stay safe, stay healthy, and I will see you in the next video.